All right, everybody, get ready because today we're diving deep, deep into the world of, your immune system.
Oh, always a fascinating topic.
Always fascinating. And you know what? You sent us a chapter from an immunology textbook,
I did.
which I thought was so interesting, but it's actually for dental professionals.
It is, yeah.
So I'm very curious to,
It's a different lens.
it is.
Yeah, to look at it through.
Where do we even start with this? I mean, when we talk about the immune system, it's so complex.
It is complex, but I think a good place to always start is just remembering that it's all about recognizing threats
Okay.
and then responding to those threats. So if you think of it kind of like a security system
Okay.
with these layers of defense to keep you safe.
I like that
Yeah.
because there's so many different components to it, right?
Exactly.
It's not just one thing.
Right.
So you've got, when something's coming at you, you've got that first line of defense, right?
Absolutely.
What are those? Like the alarms and
That's your innate immune system.
Okay,
It's that rapid response.
ready to go, always on.
Just like a security camera
Okay.
that's constantly scanning. It doesn't need to know exactly what it's seeing,
Right.
but it knows that it doesn't belong.
Yeah, it's just looking for anything suspicious.
Exactly.
And then it's like, okay, red alert, red alert.
Exactly. And so your body does this very literally with your skin,
Oh, right.
your mucous membranes.
Okay.
Your skin is like your first wall of defense.
That's your barrier.
Exactly.
Basically, keeping everything out.
Yep. And then those mucous membranes, those are like your sticky traps, catching those pathogens in your nose, your throat, all those openings.
Yeah, we don't want to think about it too much.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
But it's happening.
But it's good. It's a good thing.
It is a good thing. And then we can't forget about the chemical warfare that's going on.
Oh, right.
Our tears, our saliva, our sweat.
It's all there to protect us.
It's all strategically placed and important, especially when you think about areas like your mouth.
Oh, right. Yeah.
This chapter really dives into that. So saliva, for example,
Okay.
it's packed with antimicrobial agents.
So it's not just to help you chew your food.
No, it's got a much bigger job to do.
It's like, wow, this is amazing.
Constantly battling those bacteria.
That we're constantly putting in there.
Yes.
I mean, every time you eat something, it's like you're just introducing a whole new battlefield into your mouth.
Yes, exactly.
So then what happens when something does get through? Because, our skin's tough.
It is tough.
Our saliva's doing a great job.
Right.
But things happen, right?
Right. They do. And that's when those alarms that we were talking about, they really start to sound.
Okay.
And your body releases this flood of white blood cells.
White blood cells, okay, they're always talked about as the heroes.
They are the heroes, and they each have a very specific role.
They're like the special forces.
They are. They are. So first up, we have neutrophils.
Neutrophils, okay.
These are the most abundant.
Abundant.
And they act as first responders. So when there's an infection,
They're on the scene.
they are rushing to the scene.
Okay.
And what's fascinating is they're short-lived, but so powerful.
Short-lived. What does that mean?
Well, they essentially sacrifice themselves in the line of duty.
Oh, wow.
They engulf the pathogen.
Okay.
And then they release these enzymes that destroy both the invader and themselves.
It's like a kamikaze mission.
Yeah,
Wow. So they're like taking one for the team.
exactly. And where they leave off, the macrophages step in.
Okay, macrophages.
They're the cleanup crew.
Okay.
They come in, they engulf anything the neutrophils missed, any cellular debris, just helping to clear everything out.
So it's like we've had the first responders come in and kind of like really take care of the immediate threat.
Contain it.
And then it's like, okay, we need to really clean this up
Exactly. Prevent further damage.
and make sure everything's tidy, so to speak, after.
Exactly.
Wow, they're a good team.
They are. And it doesn't end there.
Of course not.
We also have dendritic cells.
Dendritic cells, okay?
And these are really cool because they link the innate immune response that we've been talking about
Okay.
to the more targeted defenses of your adaptive immune system.
So they're like the messengers.
Yes, exactly.
They're the ones that are like, okay, we need backup.
Exactly. This is what we're dealing with.
Then it's serious.
It's serious.
Okay, so before we jump into the adaptive immune system, because that's a whole other
It's a whole other thing.
can of worms,
That is.
can we talk a bit more about how our body actually knows when to trigger this whole response?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, how does it know?
So it all starts with recognition. The body has these amazing pattern recognition receptors, PRRs,
Okay.
and they're constantly on the lookout for anything out of the ordinary.
So they're like the lookouts in the watchtowers, scanning the horizon,
That's a great way to put it. Yeah,
looking for those warning signs.
exactly. So these PRRs, they recognize specific molecules that are common to pathogens.
Okay.
We call those pathogen-associated molecular patterns, or PMPs.
PMPs, got it. So what are some examples of those? Like what kind of molecules are we talking about?
So it could be something like lipopolysaccharide
Okay.
or LPS, which is a major component of the outer membrane of certain bacteria,
Okay.
or it could be double-stranded RNA,
Okay.
which is a signature of many viruses.
Got it.
So your body's essentially looking for these red flags.
Yeah, like these telltale signs that something's not right, like
Exactly.
intruder alert, intruder alert.
Exactly. And once those PRRs latch onto a PMP, it's game on. They send out the alarm signal, kicking off this cascade of events that we know as inflammation.
And inflammation is what causes, the redness, the heat, the swelling, all that fun stuff.
Exactly. And don't forget the pain.
Oh, yeah, the pain.
And often a less obvious one, loss of function.
Right, right.
That can happen too. This textbook actually gives a great example because it's geared toward dental professionals.
Oh, right.
Imagine you've had some dental work done
Okay.
and your gums get inflamed.
Yeah, not fun.
Yeah, not fun at all. But that inflammation is actually your body's way of protecting you.
Okay.
The swelling is a result of increased blood flow to the area,
Okay.
which brings in those neutrophils, the macrophages we talked about.
Right, all those good guys.
All those good guys. And other immune cells, healing factors.
So it's like sending in the troops.
Exactly.
With all the supplies they need.
Exactly. And the pain. That's your body's way of telling you to take it easy.
Right, like back off. Let us do our thing.
Exactly. Let it heal.
Okay, so as annoying as it can be sometimes, it's ultimately a good thing.
It is a good thing.
It's a sign that your body's doing what it's supposed to do.
Exactly. It's like your body's own little army waging war against those invaders.
Exactly.
Now, while all of that's happening, while the innate immune system is doing its thing, the adaptive immune system is getting its intelligence report together
Okay.
and preparing for a more targeted attack.
So this is where those dendritic cells that we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
they come into play, right?
They're like the intelligence officers
Right.
of your immune system. They gobble up those pathogens, break them down, and then they present fragments of them called antigens to the T cells.
Antigens, okay.
Yeah.
So it's like they're showing the T cells a wanted poster saying, this is the enemy, go find it and destroy it.
That's a great analogy.
I tried.
And here's where things get really cool. Each T cell is equipped with a unique receptor
Okay.
that can recognize a specific antigen.
So it's like a lock and key.
Exactly. If the T cell's receptor fits the antigen, boom,
Activated.
activated and ready to join the fight.
Oh, man. They're raring to go.
They are ready.
Okay, so once those T cells are activated, then what happens?
Well, it depends on the type of T cell because there are two main branches of adaptive immunity.
Okay.
You've got humoral immunity, which is driven by B cells, and cell-mediated immunity driven by, you guessed it, T cells.
We've talked about T cells, but what are B cells all about?
B cells are antibody factories.
Antibody factories.
I know, right? Once they're activated, they churn out these Y-shaped proteins called antibodies.
E-shaped.
I know, it's kind of a weird shape, but
They're very effective, I'm assuming?
they are incredibly good at their jobs. They can neutralize pathogens by binding to them,
Okay.
preventing them from infecting cells.
So they're like blocking them.
Exactly. Or they can flag them for destruction by other immune cells.
Oh, so they're like, hey, come get them. We got one over here.
Exactly.
Okay, so they're kind of like those heat-seeking missiles that we see in movies.
Yes.
They're locking onto their target, and they're taking it out.
Exactly. And just like with T cells, there are different types of B cells,
Okay.
each producing antibodies with different functions.
So they're specialized as well.
Oh, yeah, very specialized. This is where that dental connection comes in again.
Okay, yeah, you keep mentioning that.
So the textbook highlights IgA antibodies, and these play a vital role in protecting those mucosal surfaces we talked about.
Right, like our mouths, our noses.
Exactly, all those entry points for those pesky pathogens.
Yeah, we want to keep those protected.
We do, and IgA antibodies are found in high concentrations in saliva, tears, other bodily secretions.
So we're on the front lines.
They are, acting as that first line of defense.
That's amazing how our bodies have evolved these really elegant defense mechanisms.
It is it's a beautifully orchestrated system.
So we've got the B cells pumping out the antibodies.
Yes.
We've got those IgA antibodies, especially in the mouth, protecting those surfaces. What about the T cells, though? What are their roles in all of this?
T cells are the heavy hitters
Okay.
of the adaptive immune system. They're like the special forces, trained to seek and destroy infected cells.
And they do this through cell-mediated immunity, right? Cell-mediated immunity, right? Sounds pretty intense.
It is intense, like hand-to-hand combat in there. Right. So unlike B cells that we talked about
Right.
that target pathogens just floating around in your system,
Okay.
T cells, they're all about direct combat.
Oh.
They go after cells that have already been infected.
So they're not messing around.
No, they're not.
They're like, we got to stop this at the source.
Exactly.
Taking out a zombie before it can infect others.
Perfect analogy.
I like that one.
So they're like assassins. They sneak in and they take out the enemy from within.
See, those are the ones that kind of give me the chills a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little creepy, but also kind of cool.
It is cool. It is cool.
So you've got those cytotoxic T cells. They're like the assassins. They directly kill those infected cells.
Wow. Okay, so those are the ones that I'm like, ooh, okay. What about, there were other types of T cells, right?
Yes. So then you have helper T cells.
Okay.
They're kind of like the generals of the immune system.
Yeah.
They don't directly kill infected cells,
Okay.
but they're orchestrating this whole response.
So they're like calling in the airstrike.
Exactly. They're directing traffic, making sure everybody's in the right place at the right time.
Okay, so they're essential.
Absolutely. Essential for that coordinated attack.
What about, we touched on regulatory T cells earlier.
Yes, the peacekeepers.
Peacekeepers, yes.
Very important. They prevent the immune system from overreacting, attacking your own body's cells.
Right, we don't want that. We don't want friendly fire.
No, that's when you get into autoimmune diseases, and that's a whole other...
We don't want to go there.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got those guys. Is there anything else? I feel like we're missing.
Oh, we can't forget about memory cells.
Oh, right. Memory cells, okay.
Both B cells and T cells can become memory cells.
Okay.
And these guys, they stick around.
They've seen it all.
They've seen it all. They're like the veterans.
The veterans, yeah.
They hang out, and if that same pathogen tries to invade again,
They're ready.
they're like, nope, we remember you, not this time.
They're like, get out of here.
Exactly.
Oh, that's why vaccines are so effective.
Exactly.
Right, because it's like giving your immune system a sneak peek.
Yes, it's like a little preview.
Hey, this is what this looks like.
Exactly. So when you encounter the real deal,
You're ready to go.
you're ready. Your body's like, oh, I've seen this before. I know what to do.
It's like having, I don't even know, it's like having the answers to the test before you take it.
Exactly. It's like cheating the system,
A little bit, yeah.
but in a good way.
In a good way, in a good way.
Your body's way of protecting you.
Okay, so we've covered the innate immune system, the adaptive immune system.
We've gone through a lot.
It's incredibly complex.
It is. It's mind-blowingly complex.
How does it all work together so seamlessly?
That's the million-dollar question. I mean, there's so much we still don't fully understand about the immune system.
Really? I would have thought we'd have it all figured out by now.
Right, you would think so.
Right.
But what we do know is that communication is key.
Okay.
All those different cells and molecules we've been talking about, they're constantly sending signals to each other.
So it's like a really well-coordinated dance,
It is. It's like a beautifully orchestrated symphony
with each instrument playing its part.
at just the right moment.
It's amazing.
It really is, and it highlights that point that even though we've been focusing on the individual players, it's all about teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work.
Exactly.
And this is happening 24/7, right?
It's 147. Think about it. Every breath you take,
Oh my gosh, I know.
every bite of food you eat, every surface you touch,
It could be a potential threat,
all potential sources of invaders.
and we barely even notice it. It's amazing.
I know. It makes you really appreciate your immune system.
It does. It does. When you really think about it,
Right.
you're like, wow, thanks, immune system.
Exactly. You're doing a great job.
So speaking of appreciating the immune system, this textbook chapter, with its focus on dentistry.
Right. It kind of offers a unique perspective.
Okay, yeah, you've mentioned that a few times, and we haven't really gotten into that.
Well, one of the things it really emphasizes is the importance of neutrophils in protecting us from oral infections.
Okay, right. The neutrophils, those first responders.
Exactly. Those kamikaze cells, remember?
Yes, I remember.
Rushing in, taking one for the team.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that having a healthy neutrophil count is particularly important when you're having any kind of dental procedure.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't have thought about that.
Yeah, because anytime you have a procedure, it can sometimes create a pathway for bacteria to get into the bloodstream.
Right. Okay.
So if your neutrophil count is low,
It's like a breach in the defenses.
exactly, you're more vulnerable.
Wow. Okay.
So it highlights that interconnectedness of our oral health and our overall health.
That's a good point. I never really thought about it like that.
Yeah, it's all connected.
It is all connected.
It is.
It's amazing how we can talk about one system in the body, and it always seems to
affect everything else.
affect everything else.
Exactly.
Well, this has been amazing. What's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this deep dive into the immune system?
I think the biggest thing is just a newfound appreciation for how amazing our immune system really is. It's working tirelessly behind the scenes 24/7. It's an army of cells
Fighting the good fight.
fighting the good fight to keep us healthy, and it deserves so much credit.
Absolutely, it does. It's been incredible exploring this often overlooked system. And for our listeners, if you want to learn more about how to keep your own immune system in tip-top shape, you know where to find us. Until next time, keep those defenses strong.